Thank you. So good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me today. My name is Luke Hidger. I'm one of a team of what we call digital education developers here at the university. It's quite a fancy name. Essentially, we support you and staff in using the digital tools that you will use as part of your teaching, learning and assessment. So slightly different to what you might think of as ICT, who will make sure that your equipment is working across campus, so if you have issues with Wi-Fi and all those kinds of things with your emails. And so our main focus is on something called Blackboard, which you might be familiar with. If you're not familiar with Blackboard, depending on where you've come from previously, you may be familiar with something called Moodle or Canvas, Brightspace, there's some others. These are all virtual learning environments, and that's what Blackboard is. So the important thing, how do you actually access Blackboard? Because I'm going to show you how to use it, so you need to know how to get access to it. There's a range of different ways, and you'll use the one that's the easiest for you. So the actual web address for Blackboard is nice and simple, and you'll realize at Lincoln, first years, that everything kind of follows the same pattern of .lincoln.ac.uk. So blackboard.lincoln.ac.uk is how you access Blackboard. There's also something called the Gateway. Again, this will be new for first years, not for second and third years, but the Gateway is essentially a page that has all the links you might need at university. So things like links to attendance, links to Blackboard, links to your emails, to OneDrive, all those other things. Whichever link you go to, you will always use the same credentials when you're logging in, and that's your student email address, which will be a number at students.lincoln.ac.uk. And then your password. If you have any issues resetting your password, setting up what we call MFA, which is where you get a text or an app that lets you confirm your sign-in to make sure it's not someone pretending to be you, you can email ICT, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. You can email from your personal email and just give all your details. And you can also visit ICT as well. Now, I keep saying ICT because that's what first years, you'll probably know it from in your previous educational institutions. At the University of Lincoln, ICT is actually called something different. It's called Digital Technologies. So if you see both names used in different guides, they're referring to the same thing. Okay? So that's how you log into Blackboard. What I'm going to show you today is a very brief intro, and as we just established, I'm not going to show you absolutely everything, because it might not be relevant to you, depending on the modules that you're taking and your program. And throughout the year, if there is something specific, then we normally come and deliver training on that topic. So, for example, if you're required to produce a video as part of one of your assessments, that's normally a workshop we come and deliver. So this is what I'm going to go through. How to log in, we've kind of touched on, but I'll recap it. How you navigate the home page. There's some useful areas, some areas you might not use. And then the important bit, how do you access an academic module? How do you download any materials or access materials like a PowerPoint or a Word document? What other content you might see? Submitting to Turnitin. If you've not heard of Turnitin, you will be very familiar with it by the time you're finished at the university. And how to access your marks and feedback. I normally do this at the end, but I'll mention it now because then I don't need to come back to my PowerPoint. So if you need assistance, and I don't want this to become confusing because ICT and digital education are different things. They were part of a bigger team. If you need assistance, you can just email ICT. Right? So if you can't log in, you can't submit your assessment, Turnitin isn't working, your tutors put a link to something and it doesn't quite work, you can email ICT. You can also call them, though I prefer to email. You'll get a ticket number and then you can always chase that up. Though if you cannot locate something, so it not working is one thing, because we know what technology is like, but if you can't find something, so your tutor says to you, you need to go and download this Word document in week 1, and all of you have checked week 1, and there's definitely not a Word document there, then your tutor is the best person to contact, because I'm not going to have that Word document, your tutor will. So contact your module tutor. You may also have a school admin address as well, you can always contact them. But the really important thing, and we say this every year because you'd be amazed the different kinds of behaviours that we all have. If you can't submit something, and especially if you've left it very close to the deadline, 5 minutes before it's due, emailing is useful, but please do a bit more than just let us know. So if you're submitting an essay and for whatever reason that you can't get it submit, that might be because of a technical issue, it might be because you actually just don't know how to do it. Please send a copy of your essay in the email. If you don't, then when you submit, it will be classed as late. If you send us a copy, we can confirm that you sent it ahead of the deadline. So just think about that if you do ever run into issues. I say all this to set the groundwork. We don't really have that many issues. So I've already logged into Blackboard, or I had done, but this is what the login page looks like. It's a nice picture of the Minerva building for those that are new to campus. If I click login, you hopefully won't get that. This isn't my laptop. But when you log in, let me go back. It's a lovely fancy laptop, but it's not my laptop, unfortunately. Oh, do I not have connection to the internet? Oh, I do. Yeah. Should we try again? There's a login button. If you click it, I'm already logged in. Make sure you're connected to the internet first. That's always a really useful step. Now, I'm logged in as me. I'm obviously not a student. So there's a couple of things you won't have. You won't have the bit that says admin in the bottom left-hand corner and the top right-hand corner. If you do, please let us know, because you really shouldn't have that. But this is the landing page that you will all see. Okay, it's called My University, and it has a range of useful information. And if I scroll down, we don't need to dwell on it too much, but just to highlight the kinds of things you'll find in here. If you were in your third year, you might see information about the fact that you might be leaving soon and how to download all your work and so on. If there are staff and student notices, then we'll put them on here, though you'll probably receive emails about them anyway. And that's normally things like if there is an upgrade going on overnight, normally in the early hours of the morning, but I know that sometimes we do work in the early hours of the morning, not that we should. And so if something's not going to be available, we'll let you know. Some useful links, timetable, email, though the gateway has most of them, and then attendance recording as well. And lots of other things about Studiosity, Blackboard Assist for those of you that require accessible versions of documents, and so on. Some of these are for staff only as well. So you'll see lots of information about careers, and that's all on this page. So do have a scan of it when you start logging into Blackboard. You also have a profile, okay? You don't need to worry about this too much. Blackboard isn't a kind of social media platform, and most of this is automatically populated for you. The only reason I'm pointing this out is you might want to add an image. Don't have to, but you might want to. That's useful for your tutors more than anyone else, particularly if you have any discussion boards in your module. But the key one is email notifications. You will get emails from Blackboard, and so you might want to customize what emails you receive and when you receive them. So from this page, you can edit your email notifications. Oh. You should be able to. Oh. Obviously not, but I don't know if I'm clicking the trackpad right. You can change your email notifications. You have two options. You can receive emails constantly, which you might not want. So every time your tutor does something, if Kirsty uploads a Word document and you want to know that that's happened, then you can receive an email. But you can also ask for a kind of daily summary of any changes that have happened, and that's probably what I'd recommend. A new addition, you can add how your name is pronounced and pronouns if that's something you wish to provide. So that's your profile section. Activity stream is basically a bit like those email notifications. It's a summary of what's going on in your Blackboard. I'm really struggling with the trackpad. But I don't really use the activity stream. I don't find it too useful. Your email notifications is probably the most useful. And then the really important one, check to make sure it's still on the Wi-Fi, which is, is my BB site. So on this left-hand menu, there's a lot of other things, my communities. You might never have a my community because that's normally extracurriculum. The calendar is not your timetable. So you get your timetable from timetable.lincoln.ac.uk. It's all the same. And you can sync that to your phone as well. Your Blackboard calendar will have submission dates, though you'll find those in your module handbooks as well, so do check those more thoroughly. You don't need to worry about messages because you'll receive everything by email. And then the important one is My Grades, so that's where you'll access your grades. Though I'd encourage you not just to look at your grades, look at your feedback as well. That's really important, and I'll talk about that in a moment. So in my BB or my Blackboard sites, you'll have all of your academic modules. Okay, so every module that you're being assessed on in the academic year that you're in. And as you progress through your university career, you'll have more and more modules, and they'll get categorized by academic year. You can see there I've got 23, 24. You can always search for modules. So for example, and I usually support the College of Science, so you have to excuse there's lots of sciencey examples, but if I knew I was looking for study skills, and I know the code for that, I can search for it. So all I'm demonstrating is that you can search for modules. You can search by name as well as code. You'll become quite familiar with codes. Every module has a code, and they normally start with the same 3 letters if they're in the same program area, and then there's some numbers. So I've already opened one of my modules, and this is the, oh, I don't want to put an emoji in. You can tell this isn't my laptop, I don't know how to do that. Let's refresh the page. So, this is an example module. It is not one of your actual modules, it's one of my examples. So you are on something called Blackboard Ultra. Now, I'm sure you will make friends with students who are on other courses, and you may find that they're using a slightly different version of Blackboard to you. They're using the older version. We're moving the university to a new version, but you are using the new version. And this is it. This is Blackboard Ultra. So, navigating the course and accessing module content. If I scroll down, hopefully this doesn't look too complicated. There's sort of 3 key areas. There's some menus along the top. There's a section along the left-hand side, and then there's all this main module content in the middle. So module content is where you'll find everything that your tutor has uploaded. PowerPoints, Word documents, videos, recordings, submission points that you need to add your assignments to. That's all in this page. But you might want to go on announcements to have a look at announcements that were sent in the past, though you'll normally get an email copy as well. And Grade Center is where you can access your grades as well. So you could do it from the home page on My Grades, where you can see the grades for all your modules, or you can look at the grades for your specific module that you're accessing at this moment in time. So if I was studying Ultra Showroom, I could find the grades for that module in here. Along the left-hand side, you'll see some things like module team. So that's basically any tutors that are enrolled on the module. And there's some other things around attendance and digital tools. You don't need to worry about those. Your tutors will direct you to them if you did. So what I want you to focus on is everything in this module content section, in this main body of the page. That's why it takes up most of the screen. Now, all modules follow a similar layout, but your tutors are allowed to build their modules as they see fit. One module may place a real emphasis on lots of video recordings, whereas another may have lots of files that you need to download ahead of your workshops. So do expect some differences in the way they're laid out, but the core concepts are the same. These blocks that have got a nice image and a title and a description, this is where you'll find your module content, and you can click on them to expand them. Nice and simple. They're expanding tabs. Now, this is obviously my example site. Yours will say something useful like week 1, an introduction to the module, and then the contents for that week. But as you can see, I click on these and they expand. You also have folders, which are basically the same thing, but we use them to distinguish. So in this example, I've got all my assessments in this folder, but then I've got some content in these expandable tabs. So here's a week example. Now, within these tabs, there's 2 things that you'll probably come across. One of them is called a document. Don't worry too much about the names, but one is a document, and the other is actually just a specific file. So, for example, if I am studying this module, this is week 4, I've jumped ahead, and I want to see an overview of what's going on in this week. If I click this, it opens a little web page for me, and I've got some nice description about the week and what the learning outcomes are and so on. Now, your module might not have this, but it will have the page that this is laid out in. So your tutors might give you instructions. Week 1, you've got a workshop, you need to have prepared X, Y, Z before you arrive. This is the room that's taking place in. So this is an Ultra document. It's just a web page within Blackboard that you can see content. You'll also notice there's some other things. Here's a discussion board. You might not use discussion boards on your module, but we have those here. And if I expand some other tabs, you might see a quiz. So these things should be labeled. You've got a quiz there. Here's another page. If I open this, you'll see there's more text. A tool that I haven't mentioned that you will come across a lot at university is something called Panopto. It's essentially a university YouTube. Okay? It allows your tutors, your academics, to record lectures and make them available to you afterwards. It allows you to submit videos as part of assignments. So within your course, you might find embedded videos like this. This is a video on accessibility, because this is an example module about accessibility. And so, you know, just like in any other program, I can click play. I'll just mute it. But you can click play and you can watch the video from within Blackboard. Okay? If you needed to expand it, you can, just like in YouTube or anything else. So you may come across embedded videos like that. They may also just be within the expanded tab. So those documents are where your tutors are providing lots of nice instructions and then embedding video content. But you may just have a link to a video. You know, below this, there might be a video that says, watch this. You know. So you'll see content presented in very different ways. You'll probably see web links. So here's a web link. This is going to take me to the digital education website. So I just click it and it opens it. I'm not trying to, you know, be patronizing here. I'm just explaining that actually everything in Blackboard works like other websites. You know, so we've all probably watched a video on YouTube or something along those lines. The controls are the same. So that's how you access your module content. Now, one of the things I haven't shown you is where there is a document for you to download. So let's hope. Here you go. So you may find files within these Ultra documents, or you may find them within the expanding tabs. And where you see the 3 dots, normally in websites nowadays, 3 dots, the ellipsis means you are opening a menu. You can see I can download the file, or I can download an alternative format. What that means is if my tutor's provided a Word document and I want it in an audio format, or if I want to use Beeline Reader, which is where color gradient is used to help you read large blocks of text, that's what the alternative formats is for. So do have a look at those if you think you might benefit from them. But you can download the original file to your computer. And again, if they were in this folder, you'd be able to just download them. So that's some of the ways you'll access module content. I encourage you, the moment you get access to Blackboard, which you should have now, and your modules, just go and have a look round. You know, open things up, read them. Read the module handbook as an absolute minimum. Assessments. There are lots of different assessments that you might have throughout your time at university, but we're probably going to submit an essay at some point, or a kind of Word document, PDF document. And in most cases, that goes through something called Turnitin. You'll know because it's got a very small Turnitin logo there. And so ahead of the due date, you'll see the title, you'll see when it's due, and you'll see a brief description about what you need to submit. This is all going to be in your module handbook as well. If I open the submission point, learning how to use this laptop, I'm getting there, it will open within Blackboard, and you'll be able to submit your document. So we have this person that's looking at an empty tray. If I want to remind myself what the assessment is, when it's due, when I might get feedback, whether I'm allowed to resubmit and so on, you'll find that all in that expandable tab. But importantly, upload submission, I can upload my submission. So I do that, and it takes me to this page. Please, if you take anything from today, there are 3 steps in this: upload, review, and complete. The number of times people get to review and then close Blackboard thinking they've submitted, only to find a month or so later when they've got a big 0 for their assignment. It's because they never made it to the complete bit. So that's the main takeaway for this. But you can see I have submission title and I can choose the file I'm uploading. So I'll click choose file. I know I downloaded my PowerPoint earlier, so I'll use that. It's my colleague's PowerPoint actually, Misha, but I can change the name. Now your school, your program might give you very specific instructions about how to name assignments. Normally that's something like your student number needs to be in there. If it's an anonymous assignment in terms of how it's marked, you might be asked to put your exam ID. So do check your module handbook to see if you have a specific requirement on how you name things. But you can put your student number. I can use my old student number. Wasn't that long ago. And then you might have to put the title, or if it was a group assignment, what group you're working in. I've selected my document, so I can click upload. Now, Turnitin isn't really for PowerPoint, so you might be asked to upload a PowerPoint. You'll normally be uploading a Word or a PDF file. So this will upload to Turnitin. I'm just going to close that. Probably should have picked an essay than my PowerPoint. Okay, so review. Okay, review what you have uploaded. Is it the right document? I've uploaded my colleague's Pete's document, but I've uploaded my document. I can see the word count, I can see the file size and the title that I chose. This is your chance to check, because you might have picked the wrong thing. So you can see here, those are the slides I showed you earlier. So I could cancel and select the right document, because again, and we've all done it, we might have submitted a draft. We might have had final 1, final version 2 or whatever, and we picked the wrong one. So make sure it's the right one. And then the important bit, submit to Turnitin. You get a nice green tick, and then it will redirect you to confirm that your submission has been done. Really important, there's a green banner at the top that says download digital receipt. Just as you would get a receipt in a shop if you bought something, it's probably a good idea to take the receipt to show you submitted your document. You don't need to, but it's always good to have. So only when you see that green banner and a kind of confirmation of your submission have you submitted. And you can always open it to double check, because we might want to do that. So you can click on your submission and open it up. You might realize you've uploaded the wrong thing, but which if you do, you'll need to contact either ICT or your school admin to ask them to clear the submission. But I'm happy with this. And so I'll leave it for my tutor to mark. Now, there are rules around how long your tutors have to mark your assignments. So don't pester them every day asking when it's going to be released. There's a rule around it. But when your feedback is released, and they might send you an email to confirm, in this page where I'm looking at my assignment, you'll see there's a little speech bubble. And that's where you'll have your feedback. So they might say, thanks, Luke, this is a great assignment, here's how you could improve. And you'll also have a grade. Now, there's no grade currently because it hasn't been marked, but you'll have a grade in here as well. So a mark out of 100 normally, but you might find otherwise. So that's how you'll access your Turnitin feedback. That's important to remember, because when you go into My Grades, you're just going to see the grade, but you'll want to know, how you, why you were given that grade and how you can improve next time. So that's how you would submit to Turnitin. Just a brief recap then. Now I've learned how to use technology. You log into Blackboard, blackboard.lincoln.ac.uk. You'll also find it in the gateway. If you're in the library, it's on the desktop. There's a little icon for it as well, so you can't miss it. Log in with your student email address, your password, and you'll have to do something called MFA, which is where on your phone you either get a text message or you have the Microsoft app. You may have come from a school or college where that was in use. So you have to confirm your login. If you have any issues with that, then do contact ICT. You'll land on the My University page. There's lots of useful information in here. So do have a scroll through and take a look. Along the left-hand side, there's some useful tabs like your profile. So that's where you can change things like your email notification settings. My BB sites or my Blackboard sites, that's all of your academic modules. So anything that's you're being assessed on this year. You might also have a school, well, in fact, you will have a school site as well. So you may find sites in here that are specific to your school as a whole, because there's lots of information that you need during your time at university. So things around assessment regulations, extracurricular activities, they'll be shared in one of those sites, and you'll find it in here. You'll have a lot less than I do on this page. You'll see there's quite a lot. The Blackboard calendar, just remember that's not your timetable. You can go to timetable.lincoln.ac.uk. And then My Grades is where you can access your grades for all your modules. In your course, 3 sections, there's some useful tabs along the top and on the left-hand side. Though really, I think you will spend 98% of your time in module content. You have these expanding tabs that allow you to access your content, and it will be presented in a range of different ways. Don't be scared, just click on it and you'll open something. And you'll find your assessments as well. Turnitin isn't the only submission method that we have at the university, but it's one of the main ones. There's also something called a Blackboard assignment, but it works in very much the same way. You upload a file, you change the name, you click submit. So for today, Turnitin is enough. You can open these pages to get information about your course, the content. You'll have a reading list, obviously, for things to read. There might be videos for you to watch, links to other websites. So do have a look through your module. And don't be worried if the content only goes up to a certain week. Your tutor might release content each week, depending on how they've configured their course. And the important one, I think, to end on, if I find my slide, is this one. So if you need technical support, you can email ICT. Now, for some of you may think, well, hold on, if I'm not from ICT, why am I telling you to email ICT? It's because it's a good central point. So instead of you having to worry, is this for ICT, is this for digital education, is this for someone else? If you email ICT, they pass it on to the most relevant team. So there's a team of people that look at your request and make sure it goes to the right person. So if it's an enrollment issue, they'll pass it straight to enrollment. If you need help submitting a video assignment because you haven't done that before, they'll pass it on to me or my colleagues Misha and Peter, and they'll help you as well. If it's a technical issue, your Wi-Fi isn't working, as I had there, you might email from your phone ICT to help you, and then they will deal with that. My slide has gone back to Pete. I'm not Pete, but if you need help, those are kind of the ways you should go about it. Good. I hope you don't have any issues with Blackboard, but if you do, we will fix them for you. I think that's everything.
Thank you very much.
Good.
So over the next couple of days, if you can, try and get on your module sites. Download your module handbooks. You all will have reading. Well, I imagine all of your program leaders will have set you reading for your first week. So please do have a look. I've attached something very quick onto the end of this session before we go into, I think the senior tutor session starts at 11. But I'm very, very quickly just going to use 3 more minutes of your time, and then we can have a quick break. But I want to, thank you so much, Luke, really appreciate it. I wanted to introduce you to an academic called Rebecca, who I'm going to bring on to you hopefully in a minute if all of the technology works. And the reason I want to do this is because Rebecca offers an additional writing support service. So in your programs, you're going to have loads of support. You've got your module tutors, your module leaders, your program leader. You'll have draft hand-in days where you can get feedback, etc. But there's also another system which not a lot of students know about, which is why I want to tell you guys, because at the moment, at the school, we're not using it enough. And it's an opportunity to get your work, to get extra feedback from somebody else. So I'm not going to say more about it. I'm going to bring Rebecca onto the screen, hopefully. See how this goes. So Rebecca will only be able to see me, right?
Yep.
Hello.
Hi.
You are live. We're now in the theatre. I sound like I'm on a TV programme.
Okay.
But you're not going to be able to see everyone, I'm afraid. You're just going to see me. But trust that in front of your screen, which is projected on the theatre, we've now got a theatre full of students ready to hear from you.
Okay. Okay.
So I will pass straight over to you, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I was just wondering if we can get my slide up somehow, but can we do that afterwards, maybe? Or
Let me
'cause I'm
try and
not
do it
sure
at the same time.
how to do it. Oh, I can't hear you anymore.
Let me just try and split screen. If I do that, and then how does that look? Nope. Okay, good to go.
Oh, brilliant. Is the slide up then? Ah, fab, thank you. Right, hello everyone. I can't see you, but I assume you're all there. My name's Rebecca Maskell, and I'm your Royal Literary Fund Fellow, so that won't mean much to you, but basically I'm here to help you with your academic writing. So I offer one-to-one appointments all year from September through to June on Mondays on campus. And what I'm here for is to help you with any kind of academic writing that might come up in your course. So that might be essays, reports, critical reflections, anything like that. And you can book an appointment with me through that email address that hopefully you can see on the slide. And I'll send you a booking link. And then we can have a one-to-one. It's intensive appointments, just the two of us. And it's very much led by you as to what you want to cover in these sessions. You can make one appointment and then we can sort of have a chat, look at your writing and decide whether you want more sessions and how many sessions you want. It's completely up to you and driven by you. So if I tell you a little bit about how students tend to use the service, this is my 5th year doing it at the university, and what I've found is most students, what they want to do is perhaps come and make an appointment when their essay questions come out, or they know they've got a certain piece of work coming up that maybe they're a bit worried about. And we usually spend the first session doing something about planning, because in my years working with students on academic writing, I've found that a decent plan solves so many problems. So most students, in fact, I think every student I've ever worked with at the university has found a session on planning to be really useful. So we do that, and then we can actually use perhaps real essay questions that you've got coming up, and we can do a plan together. And then after that, what we tend to do is maybe you go away and you have a go at a first draft, and then you come back to me, make an appointment, and we can look at that first draft together. Now, what I'm not is I'm not a proofreader, so I don't get you to send me and I correct all of your full stops and things, but that's the sort of thing we can do together in a session. We can read through your work and we can look at any issues that you might have, and we can make sure that it's all logically structured, and we can edit it together in the session. And that's the way that most students tend to use this service. But also, you might have a very particular thing that you want some help with. So it might be anything from as broadly as planning or editing, or how to form a logical argument, or how to evaluate something, through to the real nitty-gritty of writing, like full stops, for example. So maybe you've had some feedback on an essay before that said you do lots of comma splices, for example, and you thought, well, what the hell is a comma splice? I don't even know what that is. And that's the kind of thing that we can look at in a session together, is that specific. Or maybe you've always had an urge to use a semicolon, but you're not sure what a semicolon is or how it works. You can come and see me and we can do a whole session just on semicolons. So as you can see, it's very much driven by you and what you feel you need. And it's offered not actually by the university. I actually work for a literary charity called the Royal Literary Fund, but we're placed at the university. So what that means is that when you come to see me, it's completely confidential, it's completely separate from your course. And so that means that we just discuss, whatever we need to discuss, and that just stays in the meeting. most of the time that's not relevant, but it's just nice to know that you've got another service that you can use at the university, and it's completely free to you and it's completely free to the university as well, because it's run by a charity. And it's very much student-centred, as I've said. So all you need to do is send me an email and I will send you a booking link to make an appointment. Now, what I will say is that it is running this year on Mondays only. Usually we have 2 days, but the funding's gone down this year and we've only got 1 day. But if you find when you've contacted me that you can't get an appointment because maybe they're sort of booked up for the next 2 or 3 weeks, please email me and let me know, because that's the kind of thing that I can maybe fit you in somewhere else, or it's the kind of thing that we can maybe say to the powers that be, you know, we've got lots of students who can't get in, can we have another day please? So do let me know. Any problems, anything with the booking system or anything you're not sure about, just send me an email and we can chat about it, and I'm sure we can work something out. Okay. All right, I think that's about everything, but if you've got any questions, you know, let me know.
Fab. Thank you so much, Rebecca.
Kirsty, I can't hear you, sorry.
Sorry, I muted myself.
You're all right.
Fabulous.
Okay.
Thank you so much for that. I will make sure that slide gets sent round on our Blackboard sites as well.
That's awesome. Yeah. So any questions that anyone's got about the service, just drop me a line on my email and we can have a chat. Okay.
Fab. Thank you very much.
All right. You're so
Bye.
welcome. Have a good day. Bye.
So I will